letter came, so Algy carried him first to Ollivander's. The old man remembered Algy instantly, as well as his wand from all those years ago. Surprisingly, given Ollivander's reputation, Neville found his own wand almost immediately. This, according to the wand seller, was because he'd been supplying Longbottoms with their wands for ages, and he knew the family's preferences from experience. Neville's wand was 13 inches and cherry, with a unicorn hair core.
Exactly like your father before you.
He said. Algy crooked an eyebrow.
Exactly. Does that mean he could use his father's own wand?
He looked down at the boy.
I mean, we can certainly afford a new wand, but it might be a way to show respect for his father if he could use Frank's old one.
Ollivander looked horrified.
Certainly not. A wand chooses the wizard, not the wizard's family. And besides, unicorn hair wands are intensely loyal. A unicorn wand that had chosen one wizard would likely never work as well for another, not even a family member. And while the father is still alive, that could even be dangerous for the boy's magic. He might as well try to shove his magic through a brick. Ah, well, never mind then,
said Algy jovially, as though he had not been researching the topic of incompatible wands for 3 years. We certainly wouldn't want that. Algy paid for the wand and then pocketed it.
You can see it when we get home, Neville. You're not supposed to use it now anyway, and I won't have you embarrassing the family with underage magic,
He said to the disappointed boy. Then he escorted Neville to Flourish and Bots, to Madame Malkin's, and eventually to Gringotts. There he led Neville first to his trust vault, which he linked up to a moleskin pouch so that the boy would have a small weekly allowance while at school. Then he took the boy down further to where the family vaults lay. Once inside the Longbottom family vault, he took care to point out certain interesting features and then told Neville to look around but not touch anything, as it might take him a few minutes to find the Remember-All. In fact, he knew perfectly well that Frank's old Remember-All was not in the vault, as he'd disposed of it earlier. Instead, Algy spent those minutes at a small display case which contained the wands of dozens of deceased Longbottom scions, each with a small placard denoting the name, date, and manner of the wand owner's death, or in Frank's case, incapacity. Frank's wand was near the top, and he snatched it up and compared it to Neville's. They looked nearly identical. He put Frank's wand in one pocket and Neville's in another. Oh, damn, the blasted thing's not here. Ah, well, let's head on. I'll send the house elves to search for it at the manor. Neville, who did not especially care about the Remember-All, was fine with that, and the two left to finish their shopping before a delightful lunch at Summerisle's, capped with a truly gigantic slice of chocolate cake with a candle on top for Neville's birthday. Then he took the boy home and let him show off his new presents, including his wand, to Augusta. He also informed Augusta that there was no Remember-All in the vault and suggested it must be in the manor somewhere. Soon, September 1st had arrived, and Algy returned to Longbottom Manor bright and early. Augusta grilled him briefly about the Remember-All, but he assured her it wasn't in the vault. He even offered to swear an oath, but she told him to stop being silly and then left to see to their transportation to the rail station. Had it come down to it, Algy could have sworn an oath that there was no Remember-All in the vault because he'd already removed it. He could even swear he didn't know where it was, since he'd thrown it into the Thames and had no clue where the current would take it. Algy headed upstairs to Neville's room, donning a pair of gloves as he went. The door was open, and Neville was inside finishing up his packing. "Neville, my boy, have you got everything ready for Hogwarts?" The boy jumped slightly. "Oh, you startled me, Uncle Algy. Yes, sir, I'm nearly ready." The boy was still a bit nervous around Algy and probably always would be, but he tried not to show it.
Good, good. And you've got your wand?
Algy asked. The boy smiled and pulled it out for his uncle to see. "Excellent. And before we leave, I've got a special treat for you, a pet to keep you company at Hogwarts. His name is Trevor." He reached into a pocket of his overcoat with a gloved hand and produced a fairly large toad wriggling furiously in his grasp. Neville's eyes had lit up when Algy mentioned a treat, but he was less enthused by the struggling amphibian that this uncle was holding out to him. With a smile but a bit of reluctance, Neville reached out and took the slimy creature, which nearly slipped out of his grasp. "Better use both hands until he gets used to you, Neville." The boy nodded, turned and set his wand down so that he could hold Trevor in one hand and stroke him with the other in a futile effort to calm the toad down. While he was distracted, Algy pulled out his own wand and took a deep breath before casting the strongest and most complicated memory charm he had used to date. More than a mere obliviate, it also incorporated elements of a confundus curse. Neville's knees shook and nearly buckled, but he didn't fall. Algy reached over to take the boy's wand and hold it in front of his face.
Listen carefully, Neville. You will forget this wand. You've never seen it before. We didn't go to Ollivander's and get you a new wand.
Algy pocketed Neville's wand and then produced the one that had belonged to Frank.
This is your wand, as it was your father's before you. Your gran insisted that you use your father's wand as a way to honor him. You made her cry for hours when you even suggested that you wanted a wand of your own, and you promised you would never ask her again. And now you will take this wand and use it as best you can. If it doesn't work well for you, it's because your magic is weak, and you'll just have to try harder. In fact, you will push yourself until it hurts if that's what it takes to get magic out of this wand. Nod, if you understand.
Neville nodded in a daze. You will also want to keep Trevor with you at all times. If you lose him, you will be very upset until you get him back. You will want to hold him whenever possible. Trevor was a late addition to Algy's scheme. The toad was from a South American species that was mildly poisonous. Not enough to make Neville sick. Well, not unless he decided to lick the thing, but long-term exposure would interfere with both the boy's memory and magic. The whole scheme was a desperate gamble, but it only had to work for 5 years, less if the boy got so frustrated he flunked out of Hogwarts or killed himself by trying to force his magic through an incompatible wand. Finally, you will forget everything your grandmother ever mentioned about remember-alls. It's a useless thing to help stupid, forgetful boys remember what they've forgotten. Don't pay it any mind. That last command was an afterthought, just in case Neville somehow came across someone else's remember-all at school, as unlikely as that seemed. His work done, Algy stepped back and put his wand away. After a few seconds, Neville blinked a few times and looked up at Algy. "I'm sorry, Uncle. What were we talking about?"
About how you'll be writing to me every week, Neville, to let me know how you're doing.
Algy smiled.
I can't tell you how much I'm looking forward hearing about all your successes.
When Neville Longbottom was 11 and 3 months, they came just before dawn. Algy was sound asleep, curled up on the left side of his bed. After all these years, he still left Wendy's side untouched, when Lubby, his chief house elf, woke him with a few gentle coughs.
"Begging master's pardon, sir, but there be 3 auras at the door who wish to speak with you. They says they has warrant for your arrest, something to do with young Master Neville."
Oh, I see, naturally.
Said Algy in a tight voice.
Well, tell them I'll be down, just as soon as I get dressed.
Lubby nodded and disappeared with a pop. Algy rubbed his eyes and picked his wand up off the bedside table. Idly, he wondered why the auras were being so considerate as to send a house elf to retrieve him instead of kicking down door. Then, with a thought, he reached out to feel the status of his wards. The defensive wards were all down, and in their place were anti-apparition and anti-portkey wards. Also, the flu connection was inactive. They could afford to politely wait because they knew he wasn't going anywhere, and he supposed they had chosen to wait in hopes that he would save them all a lot of paperwork by doing the honorable thing. Algy closed his eyes and slowly lifted the wand to his temple. Then he tried to summon enough hate to use the killing curse on himself. But for all the attempted murders he'd made over the last 9 years, he didn't really have any hatred for Neville or anyone else, just a pitiful selfish jealousy mixed with a bitter self-loathing, neither of which was enough to fuel the killing curse. When the auras finally got tired of waiting and came for him, they found Algernon Longbottom still in bed, in a fetal position, weeping like a child.